Birthdays, a day of celebration, cake, and gifts. But what if I told you that the origins of celebrating birthdays have nothing to do with Christianity? What if I told you that birthdays were used to sell the Christmas lie? That December 25th is not the birth of Christ, but the birthday of a pagan god named Sol Invictus? Sit tight, because we're about to uncover the true origins of birthdays and how they have been intertwined with ancient pagan practices and misleading traditions. The practice of celebrating birthdays dates back to ancient civilizations. The Egyptians were among the first to mark the birth of their pharaohs, but not as we do today. These celebrations were linked to the deification of the pharaoh upon his birth into the afterlife. Similarly, the Greeks borrowed this tradition, celebrating the birth of their gods and goddesses. They believed that each person had a spirit that was present on the day of their birth and watched over them. The Romans took these traditions further. They celebrated the birthdays of their emperors and other prominent figures. But these celebrations were not merely personal milestones. They were seen as a way to honor and deify these individuals. The concept of a birthday party, complete with feasting and merriment, began to take shape during this time. These pagan roots were deeply embedded in the practice of celebrating birthdays. Fast forward to the early Christian era. The early Christians did not celebrate birthdays, including the birth of Christ. In fact, the exact date of Jesus' birth is not recorded in the Bible. The celebration of Christ's birth on December 25th was a strategic move by the Roman Catholic Church, aimed at merging Christian and pagan traditions to make the new faith more palatable to converts from Roman paganism. December 25th was already a significant date in the Roman calendar. It was the birthday of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, a pagan god associated with the sun and its power. By adopting this date as the celebration of Christ's birth, the Church effectively co-opted a major pagan festival, blending it with Christian elements to create a hybrid holiday that would be more acceptable to the masses. But why birthdays? Why did the Church and the Roman Empire put such emphasis on these personal celebrations? It's because birthdays, like the celebration of Sol Invictus, were a way to honor and elevate individuals. By aligning the birth of Christ with a well-known pagan festival, the Church could promote the divinity of Jesus in a way that was already culturally significant to the Roman people. Now let's talk about the Hebrew calendar. The Hebrew calendar is lunar-based, unlike the solar-based Roman and Egyptian calendars. This means that dates shift each year in relation to the Gregorian calendar that most of the world uses today. Celebrating a fixed date like a birthday becomes almost impossible when dates vary so widely from year to year. Moreover, the ancient Hebrews placed little emphasis on personal birthdays. The focus was more on collective community events and religious observances, such as the Sabbath and other holy days outlined in the Torah. This is why you won't find birthday celebrations in the Bible. Significant biblical figures, including Jesus Christ, are never recorded as having celebrated their own births. Instead, the emphasis is placed on their actions, their teachings, and their roles within God's plan. So where does this leave us today? Many Christians continue to celebrate birthdays, often without realizing their pagan origins. This practice has been seamlessly woven into the fabric of modern society, to the point where questioning it seems almost heretical. Yet understanding the history and context of these celebrations is crucial for anyone seeking to live a life aligned with biblical principles. In conclusion, birthdays, like many other traditions we take for granted, have roots that are far removed from Christianity. They are steeped in pagan rituals and practices that have been adapted and repurposed over millennia. The celebration of Christ's birth on December 25th is just one example of how these ancient customs have been co-opted and transformed. As Christians, it is essential to discern the origins and meanings behind the traditions we follow and to align our practices with the teachings and commandments of God. Birthdays might seem like innocent fun, but they serve as a reminder of how easily pagan practices can infiltrate and influence our lives. By understanding and acknowledging this history, we can make more informed choices about how we celebrate and what we honor. It's up to us to decide whether we will follow the crowd or stand firm in our faith, even when it means going against the grain. Are we celebrating these days because they honor God, or are we simply following traditions without questioning their origins?